do it, let's do it.
Oh my God. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a special guest here with me.
Hi, my name is Mary.
So she'll be joining us for an extension of the studio talk. It's a time where I'm working on art projects and I talk to you guys more conversationally, but this will be a time where I have some friends over. Today's topic will be being a creative in the faith, talking about our experiences and struggles, some joys that we have, and lessons that we learned along the way. So I hope you guys enjoy. Please subscribe and like. We'll get into it.
Hello, my name is Mary Song. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, and I graduated from the Maryland Institute College of Art. I majored in textiles and I minored in graphic design and photography. And I currently work as a photo producer for a fashion brand right now.
I graduated from Carnegie Mellon University with a bachelor's in communication design, and a lot of the work that I do is kind of dabbling in many fields of design. I have done like print work, I've done videography, I've done animation, and recently I've been getting back into fine arts. I don't have like a niche yet, but I'm currently in the process of finding what that specialty is. First question, share one thing that God has taught you about your work in relation to your faith. Yeah. Something that comes to mind is my goal in life as a creative is not to make good work. Is to enjoy God and glorify God. Like that is my first and foremost mission in life. But I think often I get the two mixed up. And it's a good thing to want to make good work, but something I've been learning is not to put that over your overall mission as a Christian.
Mine is very similar to you because when I first started art, I also started in fine arts. And I truly did it because I just found so much joy in it. And I feel like in that joy, I really was able to feel like, oh, I feel like this is God's purpose for me, to use my gifts to serve Him.
Right.
But I think as I got more absorbed into art school specifically, the culture is very it's very work focused.
Yeah.
Everyone's in the studio all the time, and like for people who haven't been to art school, like you're always in the studio.
Yeah.
And you're very tied to your work, and especially during like crits too. Like during crits, like if like you don't have like a strong critique, you can sometimes take it personally because you're so tied to your like work. And for me, I felt like my work became my identity at one point.
Yeah.
And that, like you said, like triumphed over my identity of being a follower of Jesus.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's when it became like a really slippery slope for me because it was something that I once found so much joy in and so much like purpose in. But I think once I started putting myself on the throne, that was when it started kind of like getting really tricky for me. Really understanding why you do the work that you do to begin with, and keeping that at the core is like so central because I feel like without that, you do it for yourself.
I think as creatives, making stuff and making beautiful things is like one way we worship God.
I agree. I agree. And like God created us to like appreciate beauty and make beauty, and like I think that is part of why God gives us the talents of being creatives and like being in the arts, and I think that's such a beautiful thing.
It's hard.
It's so hard,
because creative stuff is so focused about you. Your deep feeling, expressing who you are, it's all about you. But obviously Christianity, like it's like deny yourself. So how do you like come to peace with the two?
I think it's really important to remember that like God works through us and like He uses us as an instrument to reach others. And I think it's really important to like really understand what you define as success. If you define success as what the world views as successful, that's what you're gonna chase after. But if you view success as like what God says, which is to create beautiful work that serves Him and honors Him, I think that's when that should be at your core.
It's really hard being a creative with a pure heart.
Yeah, I agree. Because there's so many like outside influences,
exactly,
right? And so,
exactly.
But I also think that's where like community and accountability comes in too. Like I think having a really strong church community or just like people that you can talk to, like whether it be like other creatives in faith,
Yeah.
or like one of my close friends in college, she was a musician in faith too, and like I remember that brought me so much comfort because I was really struggling to like, I was blurring the lines so much. I was like, I feel like my work is becoming my idol.
Right.
And so I think it's important that you like say those things out loud, and you have people that are holding you accountable, saying like, how's your work doing? And not in like a technical, how's work going? But like, how is your attitude with work? What is your mindset and your heart going into your work? And I feel like that, I think that accountability's really helped me a lot.
I just remembered another struggle that I have is the topic of work I create. There's so much like stigma around like Christian art where it's so narrowed down to like you only have to make art about Jesus and you only have to paint like Jesus on the cross. And like those things are so beautiful, but I don't think art should only be narrowed down to that. I think it's hard to see like the correlation when I don't make like art that's directly related to like Christian things.
I see.
So I think that's something I'm like trying to figure out. Yeah, what about you?
Where my style as a creative really developed was when I was talking about my Korean American identity and just like the experience of being a first generation immigrant. And so it was a very personal narrative for me. But I think the part where I was able to see God working through that is when I saw other people and other immigrants, other people of color being able to relate to my story. That was when I could trickle in the gospel into that. Just like Christianity and like the gospel like allows you to feel seen. And if my work in any capacity can allow another person to feel comforted, I think that I have done my job.
Do you think being a creative allowed you to appreciate the small details of things more?
I 100% do. And like, I feel like that's why I'm really grateful that I am a creative, because I feel like the way that I view the world, even, I mean like, I feel so blessed that like we can live in New York. I moved here a month ago, and like Chris, you've lived here for a while, but it's such a creative city that even just walking down the street, I feel inspired.
Even that is like a quality that maybe many creatives have. And I think that allows us to find like new inspirations to share the gospel like tastefully. Because not everything has to be obviously Christian, but like you said, if it leads to conversation about the gospel, like, and that's just as like glorifying. You know?
And if not, sometimes that can be more approachable for some non-believers. Like I've had a lot of non-believer friends ask me like about my work, and it's naturally turned into a conversation about my faith.
Like conversation starter.
It's just a conversation starter. It's just like one thing branching into another.
That's really good.
Yeah, I don't think my work is very like heavy-handed in terms of like how much I'm like speaking about like directly Jesus, but I think naturally it just comes up when I like talk about it. And so I don't think that there's one right way to make art. There's literally so many different ways you can approach being a Christian creative.
The last question we have is, share some joys that you have being creative and how you see God in them. I mean, I feel like you kind of like touched upon this a little bit.
I have so many joys.
Some joys that I have is the fact that I can have a glimpse of how God sees us. For me, when I look at my work, there's so much love and like feeling proud and like accomplishment when I look at the thing I created. Before I was a creative, like God was a creative. He was the first creative, right? I can see a little bit, like a glimpse of how God looks at this world. Him being so proud of what he made. Feel so good about like what I created. I'm like, God probably felt the same way. It says in Genesis, like he saw that it was good. So I think to conclude this video, I just thought of a question on the spot, but maybe we can share 1 or 2 dreams we have for our career, just like what we want to do in the future with our gifts.
So I currently work as a photo producer for a fashion brand, and I think sometimes it can be discouraging because the fashion industry, as many people know, is can be kind of corrupt at times. There's a lot of pollution, there's a lot of mistreatment, and so I think that makes it even more important to be a Christian in the field and to shed light and to be a light and to really show like Jesus' love through what I do. I could see myself continuing to work in fashion. I could also see myself continuing to do like something else, like freelance maybe. But a creative director and art director has always been a goal of mine. And yeah, just like utilizing photography as a way to frame God's beauty, frame God's work and design.
I just have to say, like, I can really see you being a creative director.
Oh, I appreciate that so much.
Hopefully this can be like what is it? Kind of like an archive, like
Yeah.
a record of like your dreams when you were in your early 20s. Some of my dreams, I would love to start a brand where I can make gospel-centered art. Not necessarily like outright like Christian, but like art, like inspired by Christian values, inspired by my own testimony. Honestly, like, it's very vague, but I'm just saying, I'm just putting it on this video, so maybe in like 10 years I can come back to it and see if anything happened. Anyways, this concludes our video. Thank you to my special guest.
Thank you for having me.
If you guys have any questions or comments, please leave it down in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!